on, guys? Welcome back to We Are Just Making It. I'm your host, Amir Lancaster.
I am your co-host, Ollie Lancaster.
And today we are going to do things a little bit differently. We are actually going to be interviewing Ollie. So he is going to be my guest today. Really excited, not only because I know you on a personal level,
I hope so. What?
but because I also know like your life story. Like quite literally, you are my brother. Not like by the phrase, but like truly by the blood. So we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna see, has Ollie Lancaster made it? Are you ready?
Let's get it.
All right, man. Well, I always like to start off with the exact same question. Has Ollie Lancaster made it?
I think in certain aspects I have made it. But overall, I think, you know, people in general always move the goalpost, and I think that's what I'm doing. And so, no, I haven't.
You haven't made it yet?
I haven't made it.
What was the initial goalpost? I mean, growing up, you and I, we always had dreams of like, you know, jets, fancy. Actually, we had different dreams.
Yeah.
Your dream was always jets, suits, fancy cars. Mine was always like, I want to be in a kitchen on a ranch with horses, doing country shit, and we just kind of like differed in that aspect. What was the goalpost? What is the goalpost?
I think the goalpost growing up was, you know, just making, you know, $1 million a year. You know, whenever I heard the term millionaire, I'm like, oh, that's so nice. And in my short stint living in California, I realized being a millionaire and having like $1 million home isn't a lot. You get, you know, 800 square feet and 2 beds, 2 bath, and it's about $1.2 million.
But I think the idea of being a millionaire in California and being a millionaire in Texas and being a millionaire, depending on where you live, kind of, it's all different, right? So you lived in California, you live in Austin now.
Yeah.
I just want to wrap up that goalpost question. The goalpost then was that. What is the goalpost now?
The goalpost now is $10 million annually.
Annually?
I have no idea how I'm going to make that.
I can't wait to ask you what your current salary is.
Not $1 million, not $10 million annually. Hence the goalpost being moved. You know, I for everything I want in life, I know $10 million will take care of that.
But you ever heard the phrase "mo money, mo problems"?
Bring on the problems.
Bring on the motherfucking problems. Go. So living in California, you grew up in Arlington, Texas. You were running back for a really long time.
Yeah.
A decent student, a better athlete, very much indicative to both of us. Why California? What took you out there?
Yeah, so I had a previous relationship. She had family living out there, and you know they had a pretty sweet deal for us to move out there. So at the time, I was working for JP Morgan, and they just moved me out there, and they were like, no problem. So unfortunately, that relationship didn't work out, such is life. But I really enjoyed my short stint there, 2 years. Almost whacked myself. 2 years. I met some really interesting people, some very successful people that would go crazy on this podcast. But yeah, that's what brought me out there, and I enjoyed every second of it, and it taught me a lot. It put a lot of things in perspective, not only from a life side of things, but from a financial side of things, from a spiritual side of things. It was really insightful.
Were you happy while you were out there?
I was so happy. I mean, I still reminisce about going back there whenever it's over, you know, under 90 degrees in Texas and above 60. I roll down my windows and I'm like, I'm in California riding on the PCH, when in reality I'm on the Mopac construction. But no, I was very happy there.
So before California, and the reason I want to take it back to the beginning is because I really want people to know you in the sense that I know you, and that obviously will never happen because we've got 25 plus years of history together. But in high school, who were you? What ended up getting you to the man that you are today?
I don't know. I guess different people would have different things to say about who I was in high school, but as far as I saw myself as a student athlete that was really involved in making friends and being social. You know, I played football for all 4 years with the the same people I played football with when I was a toddler, and so we always really had a really tight bond. But I was an A-B student, more B's than A's, but I got them. Graduated mid of my class. Nothing special. Like I wasn't some like Ivy League student, like 4.5 GPA.
But you wanted to go Ivy League when it came to football.
I did want to go Ivy League. I was being scouted at Yale football, so I visited for 2 days, did a camp, walked the campus. Unfortunately, at the time, I was battling an ankle injury, and I happened to tweak it again mid tryouts, and so it just really the dice didn't roll my way. But at the end of the day, I controlled what I could control. And so, don't get me wrong, would I love to go to Yale? Yeah, duh. Yeah. But like, my famous saying, if you know me, you know me. It is what it is.
It is what it
is. And so, just roll with the punches, pivot, persist.
And then throughout high school, in terms of the differences in the two of us, you were obviously very popular. One, because you played football. That's in Texas, quite literally a religion. So
huge.
That's one of the biggest ways to meet friends. I tried playing football. I was super undersized. Didn't hit my growth spurt until damn near college.
Dang.
Which is tough. How did making friends shape you? I mean, it's obviously tough for people who went through bullying, they went through adversity in high school, but it's great for the people that are on top. So do you think that kind of has helped shape your confidence, or do you think that, you would be who you were even if, you were in my position?
I think that's a fantastic question. And I have two answers to that. I think one, I did have a lot of friends in high school only because I made it a point to. Because I know how lonely the high school can get, right? Like it can be. Whoa! No shots fired.
No, but we're not talking about.
No, but it can get lonely. I mean, that's a traumatic period in a lot of people's lives. So I really wanted to have a support system. Now, was the support system made of straws at the time? A little bit. Yeah. There were some sticks and stones, but mainly straws. And again, it is what it is. You live and learn. But I think how it shaped me is I've never been afraid to make new friends. And that's something that high school really taught me, is you're going to meet tons of different walks of life, and you're going to have to coexist with them. You might as well be friends with them, treat others how you want to be treated. And I've kind of took that mentality throughout like anywhere I go. I mean, in California, when I lived there for a couple of years, I made some friends with some very powerful and interesting people. And it's because I wasn't afraid to introduce myself. I wasn't afraid to ask a question.
You weren't afraid for someone to tell you to fuck off.
No, I wasn't afraid. And if it happens, it happens. You can't like everyone in the world, and everyone in the world can't like you.
Right.
It is what it is. But yeah, I think that's how it really shaped me. It made me say, okay, it's okay to get out of your shell, to be vulnerable to random people, because in reality, they'll give it back. People are, reciprocative of things. So, but yeah, so it shaped me as far as being able to be social in different environments, and also it taught me how to treat other people fairly, regardless of color, race, religion, ethnicity, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, speaking of like color, race, religion, we were both raised in a very non-traditional home. We're Lebanese and African American.
Yeah.
Did you see anything growing up that kind of made you stand apart and kind of made growing up difficult for you, being someone who is biracial, but not necessarily just biracial, but Lebanese and African American, quite literally something that people are very controversial towards both?
Yeah. Personally, as far as the race thing goes, I've been fortunate enough, in my opinion, to not be stereotyped one way or another. I haven't had or been treated indifferently in any way. However, that being said, in some aspects, I was never too black enough for my black friends. And then in some aspects, I wasn't white enough for my white friends. And in some aspects, I wasn't Lebanese enough for my Lebanese friends.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Again, you can't change that. But at the same time, it does make things tough as far as who you identify with, especially in like high school or even out of high school and college. People have groups and they connect on much more than their favorite TV show. They connect on, the same race or religion, creed, whatever it is. So I wouldn't say I was almost like an ethnic nomad, but essentially I was okay with all of them. And so it didn't really make a difference. It didn't really make a difference. I don't know. I mean, you tell me, have you ever experienced any sort of, well, okay.
My life and your life are very different. Yeah. Which is crazy because we were quite literally raised next to each other.
Yeah.
For almost 18 years.
1,000%.
And so, but the way that we got treated was just always different. And I think it had a lot to do with the choices and the friends and the opportunities that we chose to seize or not seize. But it sounds like for the most part, you've always been a pretty like confident and grounded individual. Where does that come from? Because it's not something that you just wake up one day and decide. Like, there has to be something that gets you to that I'm secure in who I am, and you have to choose to carry that daily.
That's a good question, and I want to turn it back to you. I think
you'll have an opportunity.
No. Okay. I want to say I turn it back to you because you're the reason.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. Me and him are very competitive, and anything we do, we're very competitive.
Yeah.
Whether it's pickleball that we just happened to pick up not less than 2 years ago, or it'd be something like football that we've like, I bet you I could beat you.
Yeah.
Right? I know. Not many people can beat me in many things, but I know you are. You're the problem.
Yeah.
Right. And so I go into every situation. I'm like, Amir's really the only person I got to worry about.
Dude, this interview is gonna be tough because you've already got me kind of like a little emotional.
No, I mean, dude, you're a monster. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever seen you in person. If you're watching this, you'll see him. He's a fucking unit, you guys, and not just athletically, like mentally, emotionally, he's a unit. And so when you have that comparison to match by, I literally tell my friends I live in his shadow, and it's the truth, only because he's very successful in a lot of things you do. And so I know if you can bring that kind of success in such a short period span, there's nothing I can't do that in. That's silly to put that limiting belief on me because you don't have those on yourself. Right. Sure, you have a lot of things in the fire, but boo-hoo, we're still going to get it done.
100%.
And so that's the kind of the mentality. As far as confidence goes, my mom was a huge supportive of that. She's kind of, if you knew her, she's badass, dude. Like
our mom?
Yeah, our mom. What'd I say?
My mom.
Our mom. She's a monster. She's a unit too.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 kids at a really young age, taking us to her college classes. I mean, she's the epitome of persistence and achieving, goals. Self-made, and she does very, very well for herself. And I mean, when in doubt, if she's literally my Mona Lisa of life. Yeah. She's an angel. But you and my mom, 100%. I mean, you guys are the foundation of any confidence or success I have. And I don't tell them that enough, only because my pride's like,
no, they don't need to know.
They don't need to know that shit. They know it. What's understood doesn't need to be said. Right. But they are. So, again, turning it back to you, it'd be you and mom for sure.
It's so crazy to hear you say that, like, a lot of that confidence is gained from me, because a lot of like my life has been proving more or less to you that like I don't have it figured out, and just kind of trying to be a good big brother, but never really trying to say that I have it all figured out, because I never wanted you to feel like, well, he's got it all figured out, I should too. Like, I kind of wanted you and the world and everyone to see that like I don't have it all figured out, but I'll be damned if like I ever stop trying to get to that point. Because if you see me quit, if someone else sees me quit, what does that say about you? What does that say about how far you can go? What does that say about me? And so I always looked at you and said like, that's the reason I got to keep going. That's the reason I have to be successful. And a dream for me has always been to create something with you, and we have the opportunity to do this podcast, and there's going to be so many bigger opportunities for us in the future. But I was always like, I want to be the reason that my family will always be together.
Yeah.
And so it's really refreshing to hear that you find confidence in the fact that I am confidently unconfident.
1,000%.
You know what I'm saying?
Delusional confidence has to be the motto between us. Like, we'll go into any situation like,
oh, we think we're the best. And it's not that we genuinely think we're the best, and we're not narcissistic, and we're not cocky. We just say we're the best, and if we're not, okay.
That's okay.
If we are, we deliver.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
And I think that's what draws a lot of people to you and to me, is that we walk into moments and we just kind of like have our chests held high, and then if we take an L, we're like, dang, that sucked.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And then we walk back and they're like, dude, like, I love your energy. I want to be surrounded by that.
Yeah.
All right. So we've kind of understood who you are, where you came from. I want to hear about where you're going. Where are you at now? Like, moving to Austin, Texas, because of a failed relationship, not a failed relationship, but a relationship that didn't work out. Why Austin? Why not pick somewhere else? Why not just start over in either the same city that you're in or in a brand new place and really chase that like New York lifestyle or that big boom or that Miami presence? Why Austin?
So I actually was looking at different places. I was looking at New York. I had, a couple interviews, second round interviews in New York. I had some in Boston, none in Miami, but Miami would probably go crazy, honestly. But I think it circles back to like your support system. You're in Austin. Some of my closest friends are in Austin. And I think after a breakup, when you're with someone for so long, I think falling back on a support system is super important. Now, sure, I could have lived like a Netflix rom-com lifestyle in New York, but in reality, that's not going to work out. But I think having a support system where you guys are here, where I have the opportunity to be closer to you. I mean, for a while, you guys, I only saw this man like once or twice a year.
If we're lucky.
If I'm lucky. This was like for 3 or 4 year stint.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, every time we're together, I'm like, man, I miss this guy. Like, we get on each other's nerves, but like, I miss this
We
guy.
would just laugh for like 48 hours. Then we were like, man, we can't go too long without doing this. And then a year would pass.
Yeah, a year passed. I'm like, fuck, life went by.
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity to be close to someone who I really enjoy being around, who inspires me, I felt like it was just like kind of a no-brainer. Plus, Austin's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
A ton of life. A ton of people from California have moved here, which some people have their own opinions about that. But the diversification's great. Weather sucks, but outside of that, it's great. I love the city, dog.
Yeah.
And it gives you that big city feel. Like if you want to go run downtown, go run downtown. You want to go to the lake, there's a lake there. I think Austin was a huge choice. Plus, the pay was better.
The pay was better.
So.
The pay was better. Speaking of your relationship and kind of who you are now, how long were you in that relationship for?
Almost 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
So what does a 9-year breakup feel like due to a person? I mean, I've never been in a relationship that long.
I think it can do.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I think it can do a couple things, and I think it's your choice. I think it can break you and make you like a shell of a person because all you know is this one person's, relationship for such a long time. Like that's a lot of Christmases and birthdays and Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, on the flip side of the coin, you could come out of that a total different person. Like if you can take the qualities that you picked up as far as like cleaning, like simple things like cleaning up after yourself. Obviously, you're more conscious of that living with someone else. Buying flowers for the person you're with on a monthly basis, like things like that. Take those good qualities into either your next relationship or just yourself. But it can do a lot. I'm not going to say it was easy, but again, I had an amazing support system that let me, lean on them for a very long time. I mean, I know at one point in Limbo, I slept on your couch for like 2 days.
Yeah.
While I was figuring like what I'm doing with my life, essentially. And again, if I did that in New York, that wouldn't happen. The ramp up time as far as getting back on the proverbial your feet would be so much longer because you have no one to fall back onto, Personally, I think it made me a better person. I think I grew from the experience. I know what I did wrong. I know what I could have done better, but again, it is what it is. I can only just learn from it. But I feel like most people hear like, oh, you broke up after a 9-year relationship. They're like, oh, you must be doing horrible. I'm not.
You're doing.
I'm not doing bad.
Yeah, you're actually.
I'm doing really well.
You're doing really well, and like in the turnaround time from your relationship, like for a while you're just like, I'm gonna focus on myself. I'm gonna do what I need to do, and you did do that.
Yeah.
And then once you got settled in and comfortable, you were like, okay, I'm gonna live a life for me.
Yeah.
Because for a while I felt like your relationship while you were both living together, you're both living individually as spiritually in a way.
Sure.
But you were also chasing this, like, we've been together for 9 years. What's next? We're in a condo together that your parents own. Yeah. What's next? Do we get our own? And it kind of was like putting unnecessary pressures to figure that out. And you're not a person that like wants to go by other people's timelines. 100%. You go by your own timeline. Yeah. And so first, when I heard the breakup, I was like, this is going to ruin him. And then after seeing kind of like what it did to you in the sense of like regrounding you and allowing you to build like your own world, I was like, it sucked, but this is probably the best thing that's ever happened to him.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I thought it was going to be like, not the death of me, but I thought it was going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
And like,
it was.
But just not in the way I thought it would be. Like, I wasn't bawling at night holding my pillow once or twice.
Okay.
Once or twice. But after like the 4th, 5th, 10th day, I was good.
Yeah.
But no, it turned out to be a really good thing for me. It got me, like you said, it grounded me. It taught me, okay, you've been with someone for so long, now it's time to take care of yourself. I found a great support system in our friend Tim. We hit the gym every day. My PRs are out the roof. I get to play pickleball with this stud every Tuesday in our league. I'm just building a life for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do a podcast with my favorite brother,
Your only brother.
I wouldn't get to do a podcast with them, And so it's weird, the doors that opened up after this were closed, but I'm super grateful for the opportunities that have been given to me, and
You have any regrets?
No regrets. I'm really happy where I am in my life. I think what happened needed to happen, and I lived a fantastic life before I moved here. It's not like I'm on the downhill of a roller coaster. Like, I still feel like I'm going up, but I don't have any regrets. I'm not one to have regrets either. Like, I meet someone and I'm curious on what they do, I'll ask them, like, how much money you make? Like, because I know I'm gonna go home and be like,
I should have asked that.
I should have asked. What is the worst thing to say is no?
Right.
Like, I should have asked. And I couldn't tell you the countless amount of crazy opportunities I have just from having a conversation. Like, for example, kind of off topic, I was in Santa Barbara when I lived there, and I was getting some drinks with some friends. This guy next to me, I was like, oh, that's a nice watch. He had like a Patek Philippe on, which is a dummy expensive watch. I was like, oh, what kind of work you do? And he goes, oh, I'm a photographer. And I was like, oh, that's sick. He goes, yeah, I'm actually having a Ralph Lauren photo shoot on the beach here in Santa Barbara. Are you free tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I am free tomorrow. I ended up in a Ralph Lauren commercial, dog, on the beach.
Because you looked at a dude and said, nice watch.
Nice watch. How many other people would be like, just do life inside their head?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Worst thing to say is no. But I got a Ralph Lauren photo shoot in Santa Barbara on the beach in a mansion. Talk to people, you guys. It's life. Like, you're not going to get out of it alive. Don't take it so serious.
That's the biggest thing for me is like, you're not going to get out of it alive. And then unfortunately, as young as we are, and the more friends that I have that pass away and don't get the opportunity to live their full life and the expectations and the dreams that they have and their family have, I'm like, why am I taking this shit so seriously? Like, granted, there's a certain level of decorum that you have to go through life to make sure that you are getting jobs and putting food on your table and all of these different things. But to walk around with a 10-foot stick up your rear end 24/7, it's just, it's not a good life to live unless that is who you ultimately want to be, right? If you want to be that person and that's your goal, live that life. But for everyone else, it's like, you're not going to you don't know tomorrow. You don't know the day after that. So it's like, say those I love yous, give those hugs, make those memories, because one day it's all going to be gone and you're going to take that with you to your grave. Yeah.
I think on that, one of my favorite quotes, and Amir notoriously gets mad at me because I have such a nonchalant attitude to things.
Yeah,
like, you do. I do. It's a problem. I'm working on it. But one of my favorite quotes that kind of summarizes what he says is, what he mentioned is, can you worry about it? Like, can you control it? Great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't control it? Great. Don't worry about it. And that's an amazing quote. Let me break that down.
Break it down.
if you can't control it, you better do everything in your damn power to make sure that outcome is the way you want. Leave nothing on the table, no stone unturned. You handle that. And then let the chips fall where they may. If you can't control it, again, do everything in your power to do what you can. Ultimately, you can't control it. That's fine. At least you covered all the bases. Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people live by that, but they don't do the controllables. They're like, oh well, we'll see. Nah, that shit doesn't fly. If you can control it, you do everything in your power to. If that's working 50 hour, 60 hour, 80 hour weeks, you do that. Don't, like, if you have a say something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people drop the ball on that, and that's something that I took into this new chapter in my life. Like, I can control what I do, what I eat, who I hang out with, who I speak to, when I speak to people, what I put in my body. I can control all those things, and I'm really, really focused on controlling the controllables. Outside of my control, it is what it is. But I'll be damned if I don't reach my target because of something I could have done.
Yeah, so what do you say to the people that, you know, we say focus on the controllables and work your damnedest to get to where you want if it's in your power.
Yeah.
But what do you say to the people that are also on the other side of the stone that are like, you know, just enjoy it, relax, take it easy? Because I feel like there's this mentality, especially within today's society, of like, you need to give 110% as fast, like as much as you can.
Yeah.
Because again, like we say, tomorrow isn't promised, so leave nothing on the table. But at the same time, we look at people and say, leave something for yourself, because tomorrow is not promised. So why spend your life, you know, working towards something that actually won't mean anything when you're on your deathbed and you're saying, I wish I would have had more moments?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people?
I say, if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. I mean, who am I to tell you how to live your life? I agree, you need breaks, right? Burnout is a real thing, right? You need breaks, you need vacations, you need to recharge. I mean, some of the wealthiest people mention some of their best ideas come on vacation when they're unplugged, not thinking about work. So if that's what you want to do, by all means do it. I have nothing against you, but if you have really big goals and really big dreams, you're going to need to have really big actions, and you're going to need a team. You're going to need a support system. If that's how you want to live life, by all means. But the last thing you can do is criticize me on how I want to live mine, because I won't do it to you, right? Absolutely. I don't judge people to my best of my ability. I don't judge people, right? Because I know that's your choice. Life's about choices. You've made yours, and that's where it's got you so far. I've made mine. This is where it's gotten me. Who am I to tell you how to, you know, make yours, right?
No, that's huge. All right, let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll jump into the second part of this.
Love it.
You guys, Barcode is not a sponsor on this episode. We actually don't have any sponsors yet, but we are really big fans of Barcode water. My personal favorite flavor is this lemon lime. If you're looking for a really great hydration drink on the market that is super clean, Barcode water. Check them out.
Tap in.
Welcome back. We are the Just Making It podcast. If you haven't heard the first part of this podcast, this is my brother and current guest, Ollie Lancaster, and co-host. And we are going to start diving into the business side of you and how that is shaping you into just making it. So early in the episode, you said that, you know, you haven't made it yet. The goalpost keeps moving for you. And the newest goalpost that you have is a $10 million goalpost annually. So break that down for me. I mean, obviously getting from a salary that is below six figures to a salary that is above 7-8 figures is a huge jump. How are you going to do that? Because for a lot of people, I mean, that is the dream.
Sure.
But that dream alone has so much weight that it can crush someone. What are you doing, one, to get there, and two, to kind of still navigate life with this kind of nonchalantness?
Yeah. I think, one, obviously $10 million is a lot of money. I want to put that in perspective. It is a lot of money. right? It's roughly like 1.05 million bucks a month, which is like roughly like $3,000 a day. People have done it. Thousands, if not millions, of people have done it. So I want to put that out there.
You believe millions of people have accomplished that number?
Yeah, I mean, there's 7 billion people on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
A million people is like 0.00001. It's not impossible.
I'd be interested to know the statistics.
I would.
The number of
maybe
not even just millionaires,
Yeah.
like 7-figure, 8-figure millionaires.
8-figure.
Yeah. Now, are we talking about from a like personal income or like a net income?
Like a net income.
Got it.
Net income from like business ventures, real estate projects, etc. It doesn't have to just come from one place.
We're not talking about the portion that you are receiving is $10 million. We're talking about everything that you do and you create.
Yeah.
Creates $10 million. Correct. And then whatever you pick and choose from that.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct. So a $10 million net worth as far as net income from business ventures, etc. Now that's a long-term goal. I'm not saying I'm going to hit that by the end of this year or next year or even the year after that. But ideally, if that's something I can get to in my lifetime within the next 10, 20 years, I think that'll be really cool. Now imagine when I get there, I'm sure like 100 million will probably be like...
The goalpost is going to keep moving.
Correct. The goalpost is going to keep moving. But I think I'm just more curious in the person I have to become to achieve that. Because not every Joe Schmo off the street can create $10 million worth of value, right?
Yeah.
As far as my goal to get there, I'm really passionate about real estate as well as business consulting and development and growth. For a short stint when I lived in California for about 2 years, I wholesaled real estate, and I did about, like my first year, I did about $55,000 of gross wholesaling profits, right? I had a couple splits in there that I JV'd some partners, but it opened the door as far as like, you could do this, right? I have like proven success, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I really want to dive back into. Recently I started a new job at an investment firm, so that's taken up a lot of my time as far as like ramp up into make sure that's being successful.
Yeah.
So that's something I really want to get back into. Also buying like portfolios of homes, like 7 or 8 single family unit properties. I've done a lot of research into renting them out to like Section 8 tenants, which Section 8 gets a really bad rep because you think of Section 8, you think of what?
Low income poverty. Correct.
And you're right. They are low income. However, the caveat to that is with Section 8, if they lose their voucher, they lose it for life. So they can't ever get a home again. So the statistics as far as Section 8 homes being destroyed are very, very low. They just get a bad rep.
Right.
But the appeal to Section 8 is that it's guaranteed income from the U.S. government. The U.S. government doesn't miss as far as rent goes.
They're not.
I don't know if you know that.
They're not paying 2 days, 3 days late.
It's on time. Plus, they give you about 10 to 12% over market rate. So guaranteed and your over market rate, and the tenant has a vested interest in the well-being of that property, because if they destroy it, they can't ever get Section 8 housing again. And you're doing a really good thing for the community.
What is it to say about Section 8 when it comes to background, though? Because I know, when you start to purchase homes and you start to become a landlord, the other thing that not only you are worried about, but your community is worried about is going to be the background of those individuals.
Yeah, and that's a great question. The background, as far as that goes, is you obviously run a background check, you run a credit check. A really good thing to do is go to the previous place that they lived. Check with their landlord. Hey, how did they keep the house? Oh, they paid every month. The house was in great condition. Great. Oh, they weren't really that good. That's why they're having to move out, and etc. Okay, great. We can cross that person off. The wait list to get on Section 8 is about like 5 or 6 years long. So there's always someone ready to fill it. It's just a matter of inventory. The U.S. government, I don't know if you know this, is a terrible landlord.
Yeah.
So that's why they pay you a premium to take care of it.
Because they would rather the people do it versus
correct.
them.
They're going to get the tax income regardless. Yeah. You have to pay property taxes, etc. That doesn't matter, but they're really bad landlords. It's really inefficient. And so they give it off to the people, which is great because now you can make a profit. The good thing about that is you can systematize it with, 10 or 15 properties at once. Now, not to get into the weeds, but if it needs a bunch of work, maybe you'll have to reevaluate as far as if that's going to be a good fit. But if it needs cosmetic, it's turnkey, like new paint,
Yeah.
that's a really good prospect as far as Section 8 goes. So I've really dove deep into the statistics and stuff like that. So that's something I really want to get into. And then outside of that, I'm been really, really focused on how to build a business, not create one from scratch like a startup, rather than take one that's doing $1 million annually and take it to 10 million.
Almost like a consultant.
And there's numerous ways to do that. I mean, this whole podcast could be on hundreds of different ways to do that, but I think I could find real value in going to a company and saying, hey, you're doing $1 million revenue. I'd love to take you to 10. And the best part is you don't even have to pay me. You just have to give me 3%, 5% equity in the company.
Yeah.
So now I have a vested interest and I get a profit share with the income that I give. Now, obviously I have to deliver on that. So I need a couple companies that I'll do for free.
Yeah.
Just to have a portfolio of success saying, hey, here's my track record. But I think that could be a really lucrative opportunity to go into a company, have equity in the company, and then if they sell it or whatever, you get a percentage of the sale.
And I think that's a very mature thing for you to, a very mature approach for you to want to take. Is a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we chase a dollar sign.
Yep.
And then I feel like once you mature, once you hit a certain point in your career, you realize that equity is actually greater than any dollar sign could ever be, because that equity, especially if you had a vested interest in it, can grow past what they're willing to pay. You know, some companies, when they see that your ticket price is a $200,000 salary for a 3-month temp contract to do this consulting, they're kind of like, we don't have that. I mean, we're quite literally, that's a quarter of our income right now.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, right. But when you say, hey, I want 3% of equity or 10% of equity in this business, they're like, so we don't have to pay you anything, but once you deliver, then everything from there, you just get paid out like a shareholder. And it's like, exactly, like it's holding me to the fire just as much as it's holding you. That is the best way. And we had Matt Choi on, and he said that's the approach that he's taking with a lot of brand deals, is rather than going for a $1,200, $5,000, $10,000 brand deal, he's like, hey, how about you give me equity in these companies and in these brands? Because one, I'm going to continue to promote it. As an influencer, it doesn't really work out well for you to create one piece of content. It works really well for you to create 10 pieces of content, but from a company perspective, it doesn't work for you to pay an influencer for 10 pieces of content, unless you got it like that, right? Unless you can have them on a retainer, but most companies don't have that. So the next best thing that you can offer is a piece of your business, not a large piece, but a piece where it makes sense.
And to piggyback off that, Matt Choi's in a really, really good spot, because a lot of the brands that reach out, they're up and coming brands like Lifestyle Waters and stuff like that, and hydration. He's getting in early, so if he can swing that equity portion, I mean, getting into anything early is great. And so if he has brands reaching out for that, he can leverage the crap out of them.
So speaking of getting in early and having, your pick of the litter, how are you creating those opportunities for yourself? Obviously, early in the podcast, you talked about how, you are very open to having great conversations, and a lot of opportunities have came from you being so forthcoming and open. But obviously, you can only have a certain amount of conversations where they bear the fruit that you're looking for.
Yeah.
How are you putting yourself in a position where, more opportunities to become a consultant or an investor are happening for you?
I think being social. Moving to a new city, I can't emphasize enough how being social early on will impact the longevity and happiness of being where you are. Yeah. Again, I was fortunate enough to have Amir here, who's pretty well known in the Austin community and in the same groups and clubs that I have interest in as well, like Collective, which is a social performance gym. So social events and social outings is my main way of just networking and talking to people and seeing what they do. I also love golfing. So you'll catch me on the course, probably just chatting it up with someone. And I've met some really interesting people doing that. But yeah, to answer your question, how I'm finding these opportunities, meeting these people, is putting myself in a position to have these conversations. Like, I'm not going to your local Chili's. Well, okay, I've been to Chili's, but I'm not going to your local Chili's on a Saturday. I'm going to like
Mixers,
networking events. People where people have money. Like, obviously, if you're looking to invest in something, you're looking to where the affluent are, go to where they are. Like, go to, if you're in Austin, go to ABBA, go to Soho House. If you have a friend that can get you in, like, go to these places where having a dollar sign is value, and shake some hands, talk to people.
And to close us off, it's not like you need to have money to be there. You can very much go to ABBA and have a sparkling soda and lime and have the presence and appearance as if you are drinking and you are enjoying yourself in the same way that those people are. You can eat a dinner before you go to the dinner to save yourself on. You can do things that still allow you to be present without sacrificing the fact that we are in our 20s. We don't have it like that yet.
We are just making it.
We are quite literally just making it, and that's okay. Like, you know, and those people aren't going to dog you. You're not going to be seen less than, you know, if anything, it's admirable that, hey, you're stepping into the ring with me, and that's all I give a shit about. I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to respect you.
Absolutely.
We do have a pickleball league that we have to get to. It is that time, but I mean, any last closing notes? Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Ali J Lancaster. On Instagram, I'm not very active on Twitter, but if you find Amir's page, you'll probably find mine. I really appreciate you having me. I know when I do host, I always like to leave off like what's a book or a quote.
Yeah.
I think a really good book to read as far as business goes is The Almanac by Naval Ravikant. Super good as far as life and business. And then a quote that I'll leave you with is, shout out Kung Fu Panda 2 or 3. If you only do what you can, you will never be more than what you are.
Ooh. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode. If you liked this, if there's more that you want to see or you think that someone should see this, please share, comment, subscribe, keep watching. And if there's any topics or people that you want to be on this podcast, let us know so that way we can try and reach out and interview. We obviously want this to be a place where you feel a level of comfort and you are gaining experience in just making it and just surviving what today is. I'm your host, Amir.
I'm your co-host, Ali.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.